of what you're saying is that what we see as human beings, when I look at you and the development you have, partly I write discipline. This person cared enough about themselves to make time to go to the gym a lot to where he looks great.
You want to know what got me here more than like the aesthetics? How confident and like sexy I feel. I feel good as hell, man. Like that's why I talk about in my book, nothing looks as good as confidence feels. Like train for the confidence. Because everybody, if they're going on a vacation or if they are the bride or groom in a wedding or if they're in a dress at a wedding, they're going to spot train. Why do they spot train? Because they want to look good and they want to feel good on wedding day. So why don't you want to do that for your life in general?
The Touré show. Okay, though. The Touré show. Okay, though.
That might be the best question I've ever been asked.
You're a phenomenal person. I mean, you legendary.
I am a fan of you, my brother.
Shaun T is an extraordinary fitness influencer who's built an amazing business. But what he survived in his life, his difficult childhood, that is what makes him so inspiring. And the way he builds his life now, the family he has now that's so beautiful, it's an amazing story. He's such an inspiring guy. Let's get into it. It's Shaun T on Touré Show. Shaun, welcome. How you doing?
Oh, I'm good. I'm actually great. I'm doing really, really good. Thank you.
Wait, why great?
Well, I mean,
because you specifically changed it. Like, good. No, good is wrong. I am great.
Wrong. Yeah, I think that, it's so funny when I go on tangents sometimes. However, this is a good one.
Okay.
I tell people, don't ask me how I'm doing unless you really want to know.
I want to know.
I know, not you, but I was going to say like in stores and stuff when people are like, oh, how are you? When they go to the cash register or whatever. I'm like, do you really want to know?
Well, the cash register, no.
I gotta say so even if I'm at the cash register and the cashier's like, how are you? I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm wonderful. Or I'm like, this day sucks. Like I tell them exactly what it is. So that's what I was doing. I was like, I'm good. No. Like I'm great. I'm really great. And I'm great because, it's very easy to focus on what's not working instead of focusing on like what's working for you. And so I played a lot of tennis. And I remember one day I was on the court and you play tennis, so I'm on the court and I was just so frustrated. I was probably making like 20 balls and I would miss one.
Yeah.
And I was just so frustrated.
At tennis, yeah.
And we took a break, my coach and I, and she was like, what's going on? And I was like so frustrated. I was emotional. Yeah. And she was like, I just keep missing. And she was like, focus on what you want. Stop focusing on what you don't want. So she's like, you're hitting 20 balls in and you don't even realize that you're going 20 deep because you're so focused on the fact that you don't want to miss. Mm-hmm. She was like, keep focus on what you want to do. And then we went back out. So anyway, I say all that to say, life has these incredible ups and downs, and it is truly a roller coaster. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you all the things that are just jacked up, but like I'm great.
I want to hear about how we should be working out. I want to hear about your new workout. I want to hear about what us tennis players should be doing. So all of that I want to get into, and people who care about working out in the right way and they're wondering, what should I be doing in the gym? Mm-hmm. I want to get into all that. But before we get there, I want to talk about your life story, because you have an incredible life story. You talk about that you were liberated by you as a child, right? Yeah. And you say you hated your childhood and you didn't really have a childhood. What was going on in your home that was terrorizing and traumatizing you?
Before I start to tell people this story, go to a time where you just felt like you were in a very toxic place where you just couldn't escape. And the only way for you to get through is to continue to believe in yourself. And I just want to take people in that zone. Now take that and you're an 8-year-old kid and you are loving life. Like you are like, I know we don't have a lot of money. I know our car breaks down on the side of the road. I know my mom has a door, the color that's not the same color of the car. But I'm good because I'm a kid. I have my brother. Like, I'm living my best life. I know we don't live this like glamorous life, but I'm good. And you're literally living your best life. You have your mom, your brother, you have a stepfather, and it's just like a life. Like, you don't really know anything better because you haven't experienced it. And now you have this stepfather who is now takes you around his family, and you kind of look like him. You know, he's a light-skinned black guy, and I'm a light-skinned, black kid. And
Liked him at first.
yeah, like, it was just kind of like I was living this life. I knew we didn't live this great life. Like, I knew he and my mom had arguments and all this stuff, but he would parade me around as like, I'm not his biological kid, but like,
He was proud of you.
yeah, he was proud to carry me around. Until I realized why he was proud to carry me around. So now I go from 7 years old, we moved from an apartment in Philly, we moved to a house in New Jersey, and it's kind of like a step up and we're feeling good. And then all of a sudden, one night at 2:00 in the morning, you feel someone's hand start rubbing your butt. And then their hand rubs your butt, and then they turn you over, and then they perform oral sex on you as a kid, and you're like, you literally fall through a trap door. Because you're like, now you have to imagine that this is an 8-year-old brain, right? So you're like, what is going on? You know what I'm saying? Like, your mind is literally a ping pong match.
You haven't even had sex ed yet.
I don't know. I didn't know what sex was.
Well, I don't know what you how do you even process what is happening?
You are just, the thing that's like really weird is when you know something's wrong, but you accept that it's right. So you can protect yourself, and immediately, a lot of people don't understand, like, kids have this sixth sense that they're like, I know this is wrong. Think about in your mind, like, this guy has arguments with your mom, he's an alcoholic, but then he's put you on a pedestal so much to make you feel so wonderful. So now you're like, all right, this is wrong, but I can't tell because I know he's gonna harm my mom. I'm thinking he's gonna like kill my family, at the time, I didn't know.
He didn't tell you. You felt like I can't say anything?
100%. Because he was like this revered person. Like, in his family, like, he was the oldest child. So he would walk into a room and everyone would be like, I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to, but, such and such is here. And so it's almost like this person could never do wrong. But they have a violent side as well, and they're an alcoholic. And like, when your parents fight as a kid, it's like a lot. Even if they're just having a disagreement that's less than positive, you're like, oh my gosh, this is like uncomfortable. I mean, we as adults, we hear people arguing on the street, we're like, oh God, So imagine two people that you love, your protectors or whatever. So so that is it. You have to imagine an 8-year-old brain being like, all right, like, this is going to sound so crazy what I'm about to say, but you're like, settle in.
You said that to yourself?
Yeah. I'm like, settle in.
What does that mean?
It means like you already know that this is going to be a journey. And it's going to be, like, you already know. People underestimate the mindset of a child. You already know it's about to be on, right? So then this happens a lot. No, like a lot. So now it becomes a part of your existence. And so, when I hate to use this example, but when someone either harms himself or you find out that someone unfortunately unalives himself, but they look like they're this happy person.
Yeah.
Like, you have to understand, like, no one knew this was going on. And you're literally on the surface, you're rainbows and sunshine, going to school, making an honor roll.
Shaun's great.
But no one knows what's going on inside of your brain. And you're battling every single day. So that's what, like, even when it comes to like just judging people, like, you have to tread carefully.
Yeah, you don't know what's going on.
Because you don't know, like, you don't know, right? And so, and that went on from the time I was 8 to the time I was 12. And this is where I talk about where it gets really uncomfortable. It didn't stop until I had my first ejaculation. And then it was like cut off. So done. So that's how like, when I got older, I'm like, that is true pedophilia, right? Like that's like when people are like, oh my gosh, this person's a pedophile. I'm like, this is true. Like this guy only wanted to do it with a child.
What happened when you came the first time?
Like in what sense?
Like, did he react in a way that was like, oh, this is not for me anymore?
No, there wasn't a reaction. The reaction was like, it just never happened again. But the odd thing was, this was really odd thing. Now that I'm older, I have a degree in sports science and health, so I know how the human body works. This is very uncomfortable, not for me, but for people to listen to. But like I've always, from day one, I always had the feeling of an ejaculation. Like always had the feeling of an orgasm, but nothing ever.
Before that day, you felt.
But nothing ever expelled, if you will.
Right.
But it was when I eventually came.
Yeah.
I don't know what I could say on this show.
Anything you want.
Okay, when I eventually came, that's when it was chopped off. Yeah. Yeah, so it was.
Was he also touching your brother?
No.
Weird.
You would think it was weird, but
You're the older brother?
I had an older brother.
You were the older brother.
No,
you
I was the younger. I was the youngest, yeah.
How much older is your brother?
Literally a year almost to the day.
Do you think about why he targeted
I already
you?
know why.
Why?
Because pedophiles, abusers, they have this innate sense of which one is weaker. It's really, really strange. Like, which is the nicer kid? Which one is like very obedient? Is this kid really quiet? Is this kid?
But he must have done or said things to test the waters, and Shaun said X, okay, I can keep trying more and more and more, right? Like, I know he's not gonna, but I bet he'll, right?
Yeah, and interesting you said that because I actually never thought about that because I would never understand the process. However, when I tell you about like he's parading me around like I'm the best, like I'm his child kind of thing, I think that was like the grooming. It's like making me feel like I'm so special. And now you said it, I just had a little aha moment myself,
So he's kind of
grooming
love
me,
bombing you, making you feel good about yourself and him.
Yeah. And so this is another part where people get really uncomfortable. So like when he stopped, I'm like, what? I'm like, what do you mean?
I've heard people say before, when there was a stop, then I felt rejected.
100%.
Which is so...
Yeah, it's crazy. But people listening to this story would be like, oh my gosh, you must have been so relieved. No, bitch. Like, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I have endured...
Want me anymore?
Exactly. So everyone's like, when was your first heartbreak? I'm like, my first heartbreak was my abuser, bitch. Like, because like I took on all this. I'm like, I took on this for my mom, my brother, my family. Like, I didn't tell my church. Like, I took all this on. I'm like, I'm going to take this on. That's why earlier I was like, settle in. And then all of a sudden, like, you just don't want me anymore. It's so wild. And I say that a lot because that's the only way for me to describe it. To the point where I tried to seduce him after that.
How?
Like, he would come upstairs and I would like, oh, I'm going to take off my pants and I'm gonna be in my underwear and I'm gonna have my door open and I'll face the back so he can, like, I wanted him to see my butt. Like, to think that it's crazy. It's so crazy. Don't worry, I've been to therapy like for a very long time. I mean, I see your face and that's most people.
It's a crazy story.
And it is, so yeah.
I want to talk about the escape, but did that experience have a lasting impact on you sexually when you started to get into mature consensual sexual situations, and that's still affecting you, right?
Yeah, and slightly. So, and the way that it affected me most was, when I got into like a loving relationship with my husband, right? Like, there are two things. One is very mental, and the other one is physical.
Right.
So once Scott is the first person that I truly fell in love with. Like, I completely let down any guard that you would have, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. So mentally, it would be like 2:00 in the morning, and I would like start fights with him. I would wake up in the middle of the night, and I would just be really aggressive with him. And he was just like very calm, and we would like get out of the bed. We would go into the living room, and we would like talk. And it's like, it didn't happen every day, but it happened often. And so one day I couldn't make it to therapy, to my therapist. I couldn't go to see her in person. And she was always like, if you are really going through something, like, try to call me if I'm not doing anything. Like, we can talk through something really fast. So I called her on the phone. And I was like, last night it happened again. Like, I woke up at, 2:00 in the morning. I started this fight. And all she said was, well, what happened at 2:00 in the morning? And that's when I had this, like, that's the craziest aha moment. So that was the mental, because I was confusing love with a man that actually truly loved me for me. And I'm confusing it with the love for my abuser, because you have to understand the foundation of love and relationship for me was that.
But also your body or your mind is expecting something at 2 a.m. and then you're re-responding at 2 a.m. years later?
Scott would tell me that, like, I would wake up like screaming, mad. He would have to wake me up. He would have to wake me up as I'm in this rage. Like, one time I woke up we were in a hotel room, and I woke up on the couch. He was just like, he's so wonderful.
Were you ever able to get some modicum of revenge, or?
We'll talk about that. Hold on one second. Let me go to the physical part of this. So I never had any physical, like, sexual situation. Well, I kind of did. I'm gonna go here. So one, like, if you have a spouse, like, sometimes you go up to them, you go behind them, like, you grab their butt, like, just like a loving way. Yeah. And Scott would do that, and I would get so pissed. I'm like, do not do that.
Because that's what he did.
But I didn't realize it until I realized it, right? And then, I'm going to go here too, like, in homosexual relationships, I was like, that part is completely off limits for anything. Because the very first time, actually, the first time...
Are you saying you wanted to top because you had been...
No, I didn't want to bottom.
You didn't want to bottom. Yeah. Right, you wanted to top, right? Because that's what you had...
Yeah, because having my butt touched was like very
triggering,
traumatic. But I skipped a whole section of this that I want to just like cliff note really fast. So that was the first time that the oral sex happened, what I explained to you. But the first time that anything was like the water was tested, I'm going back to what you asked me before. I'm gonna try to do this quick because I'm very long-winded. But we had a movie night in our basement. It was my step monsters, what I call them. My cousin and myself. And during the commercial breaks, because, back in the day, we didn't have Netflix. Right. Like, you had commercial breaks. Right. Commercial breaks, he would tell my cousin, like, go get this and this from the kitchen. And the first time he kissed me, he French kissed me, right? So we going back to that grooming thing that we were talking about. Mm-hmm. And then the second time this is a lot. The second time my cousin left and he turned off the lights and he... like, literally put his penis up against my butt. Yeah, I know. It's so crazy.
You're saying this is at 8 years old?
Yes, it's 8 years old. So you have to understand, this is like, it's very hard. It's not hard for me to say.
Right.
But I just know that people are cringing at this.
No, it's just, what he did is disgusting and horrific. But an important part of the story is you liberating yourself. Because you're 14?
I was 14. I was 14 years old, and I just had this moment of like wanting to escape. Because now I'm 14 years old. It's 2 years after the abuse has stopped. So now I'm getting older. I'm more mature. I'm like now hating him.
I went from getting close to his height.
Yeah. So, right? But I'm like, he was tall. I wasn't there yet. But I'm like, I don't even want to be in a house, the same room with him. So I'm like, how do I get out of this situation? And my grandmother would never come in our house. So my grandfather's a pastor. My grandmother's the first lady. And she would never come into her house. She would only drive by, and we would talk to her outside.
Because of him?
Because she's like, I don't want to have anything. I don't want to be in that.
She caught the vibe?
The vibe. So I remember she pulled up one day, and I just walked up to the window. I was like, Mom, can I come live with you and pop up? I'm like, you guys are getting old now. You need some money.
This idea just came to you?
This just came to me. I'm like, how do I escape this? And I think she knew that something was wrong because she was like, yes, I'm going to go home and talk to Papa.
I mean, for a 14-year-old to say, I want to leave my mother
exactly
and live with you, there's got to be something.
Exactly.
Right? Because he loves his mom, but he don't want to be like, she could vibe it. Wow.
So then the first night there, this is like, so my, I talk religion a lot because of them. And, in the Bible, it says, accept Jesus Christ as your personal savior, and that's how you're born again. For me, like, I was literally born again that first night that I moved into their house. Like, I went to bed, and you have no idea what it's like. Maybe someone that's like been divorced or was like in a really bad relationship or something, and they're finally out of that environment, and they're like, oh my gosh, I have my new apartment or whatever. So I go to bed that night, and my lights were still on, and my grandparents were in the bed, and I just started bawling, like loud. Like I was just like releasing every energy and demon. It was the worst sounding cry probably, but it was like, when you sneeze like 4 times and you're like, it kind of feels good to get that out. Like, I know that's a really weird analogy, but that's what it felt like. It was just like so liberating. My grandparents, like, they ran in the room and they kneeled down by the bed and they like prayed for me. And, it was just like.
What did your mom say when you or your grandmother said, he's going to come live with us?
Well, she probably wanted to get the hell out of there too. Because he was like,
But mom won't keep her babies near her. Like, it must have been a conversation. It couldn't just say, yeah, go ahead.
No, it was pretty much,
But she didn't know.
She didn't know that was going on. But it was a terrible household. So she's like, if one of my kids can get out of here, great.
When did you tell her what happened?
I was 21.
What did she say? Did she believe you?
Yeah. I mean, I told her about that, and I came out to her as gay on the same night. It was a night for her.
It's a long night for her.
It was a night.
But you talk about the strength of that kid to say, here's how I can get out of this traumatic situation, propels you even now, right? And you think about, he is an inspiration for you now. How is that continuing to inspire you decades later?
Very interesting. So, being inspired by an 8-year-old kid that is yourself is very empowering. And it was like, there would be often times where I'm like, if he got through this, like, I can get through this. And then I like continued therapy, and my newest therapist, my therapist now, who is wonderful, he's like, the way I was talking, he was like, do you think it's time to release that 8-year-old kid now? He's like, let's release him, and he was like, he's like, you're a man now. Now it's time to like take what you know and move on. So now I look at my 8-year-old self as definitely a stepping stone to who I am now. But like, it was important for me to release him so that I can like, the situation will always be there. It will always be a part of my history. It will always be a part, but I don't have to rely on that. I don't have to rely on a traumatic time to get me through a tough time. Mm-hmm. Now it's like, it's like what my tennis coach said, it's like, focus on what you want, not what you don't want,
Okay, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for that, which is crazy. And I think we understand you much more deeply and what drives you and what propels you. Help us, let's switch to fitness superstar, influencer. I want to help folks make the most of their time in the gym and do it properly. And, you brought up tennis. I play tennis every day. Let's start for tennis players, because a lot of tennis players out there want to go to the gym and so they can be better on the court. What should we be doing in the gym? How should we do it? to be better when we go play.
I love that. I do want to add a quick bridge.
Please.
So for those people who have done my workouts, whether it was Hip Hop Abs was my first one, all the way to Dig Deeper, those who did Insanity and everything, when I'm on the screen, like the way I communicate with you is everything that we just talked about. I take the power of believing. That's why I have tattoos, trust and believe, conquer your mind, transform your life. The things that I say in the video all come from what I had to do to sustain happiness, as happy as I can be. So when they hear me talking, number one, I'm not scripted. It's very important. I'm always in the moment. And so I just wanted to tell people, like, I like to transform people. I transform people's minds more and confidence more than I transform their body. Like, I want to instill the confidence. So now when I go to the tennis player, the first thing you need to do is be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like when we're hitting that tennis ball, without consistency, you lose the point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you lose too many points, you use the match. So the game to set the match, right? But so this is not a plug. Insanity, like my Insanity workout is the perfect workout for a tennis player.
Okay.
Because you use, what do we use mostly in tennis? Our legs and our core, right? And Insanity, you use your legs and your core. You have good upper body strength, but you don't need to use your chest. You don't need to use your shoulders. You don't need to use, like, your arm should literally be a string, right? And you use your wrist and hitting certain places on the ball to direct the ball where you want to go. Anyway, I say all that to say,
how good are you? What level are you?
I mean, when I play if I'm in a pro-am tennis tournament, I'm a pro.
Okay. What's your level?
Probably a 5-0.
Oh, man, we got to play.
Like, I play D1 athletes.
We got to play.
But I'm 220 pounds right now.
You're not ready to
so
play
I'm going to go
anymore.
down to a 4 or 5 real quick.
Because I'm a 5-0, so I'm like, let's do it.
That's why I'm
Let's
like, when
do
you
it.
were like, the ball would go by me, I'm like, nah, not if you play every day. And if you do it, if you play every day and the ball's going by you, I'm going to have to, I'm definitely going to have to put you through some challenges. But, so tennis. So I would say HIIT training, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off. Any kind of HIIT training or Tabata that is without weights, it's usually body weight anyway, that's pretty much the best. Now, if you want to lift weights, high reps, because you don't need big muscles. You don't want to look like me on the tennis court.
15, 20?
I would say 18 to 20 reps. Like, stay up there, and you're working on muscular endurance, not strength.
Okay, yeah,
because
for sure.
Muscular endurance is like really, really, really important. So if you do that, I would say if you do muscular endurance training like 3 days a week, you're pretty much in a good place. Like, you can do a full body workout, you can do upper body, lower body, full body, but just that would be 3, and you only need 30 to 40 minutes. You don't need an hour, because when you're doing muscular endurance, you can do like you superset. Bicep curls, shoulder press, tricep. Shoulders, biceps, tries. Hit some, wide bicep curls, hammer bicep curls. Just, you don't need to look up what like a bodybuilder training is. You want to put muscular endurance training in. And I say, you don't need a lot of rest, because if you're supersetting, you go from bis to tries to shoulders. By the time you get back to biceps, you want to take a little break for breathing purposes, but your biceps would have recovered by then. But do that 3 days a week, and you do HIIT training like twice a week. But if you're playing tennis like you play, or like I know I used to play, you're on the court, too. So you don't want to overtrain off the court, because you're not trying to be a pro. But I mean, if you're a 5-0,
on the low, hoping it's not going to happen. But I feel like I transformed my tennis a little bit when I started going to the gym and doing sprints. And I'll do like 7 sprints. So you got to get up to the highest level that I can run at, and then do that for 10 seconds and then stop.
Great.
And like just pushing the lungs like that was transformative.
Yes, that's wonderful.
Right?
Push it to 30 seconds.
Because we're like, go, stop.
Yeah.
Right? Stop.
So a tennis point oftentimes can last 10 to 20 seconds.
20 seconds would be an eternity.
Right.
Right? Like,
But
that would be an insanely long point.
Right. So if like a 400-meter runner is doing 8 400s. So, but you need, in tennis, like if you're doing like when I trained, I went to a spring training basically for tennis players. So I'm sure you're familiar with Patrick Mouratoglou.
Sure.
He's a really good friend of mine. So
Amazing.
so I've trained at his facility. We've gone to spring training preseason, I would say, with Serena and all like the pros. Like we did it all. And they're like those pros are playing in the morning. They're doing fitness and they're running 400s like a track athlete, 200s and 400s. So if you get back into those sprints, push the 30 to 40 seconds.
Run for 30 seconds, 40 seconds.
I would do 30
Not
seconds.
Just 10.
40 seconds is tough, but go for 30. And you can take like a 45-second break, but go harder. Go longer than what a point would be. Because if you're only training at what you think the point would be, then your lung capacity is only going to go there. But if you are training for longer, if a point gets longer, your opponent gets tired and you're still in it. You're like,
what about for mobility stuff?
The easiest way, because I can be like, oh, do these stretches. The easiest way, if you can do just like a general yoga practice.
Okay.
You're opening up the hips. You're doing all this stuff. You're doing everything.
I mean, I want to do toe taps and movement like that simulates what we do on the court. Like,
yeah, well,
right?
So for agility, you can do like ladder work. I have an Asylum workout that has like Asylum Volume 2. It's called X Trainer. It's really great for tennis players. You can stream it. It's really, really, really good because the ladder's there.
Okay.
So that's really fun. But you can always, if you're doing agility training, you can Google football agility exercises, track and field agility exercises. I like football ones better because they have like bigger movements.
Okay.
There's a lot.
But all this stuff that you are getting into, weights and movement, and it's really critical as you age, right? To age, let's say, gracefully.
Mm-hmm.
It's really critical to be in the gym and lifting and running around and move, right? I mean, like,
muscle is the fountain of youth. Hands down, point blank. Like when a person gets older, right? And let's take somebody who maybe just like stumbles a little bit. Now we have the agility. You have your fast twitch muscle fibers and you have your slow twitch muscle fibers, right? Like now we got it. But the less you start, the less like load work you do, meaning like weightlifting, even whether it's muscular endurance or heavy, like that stuff goes away. So that's why you hear like a lot of older people fall and break their hip. It's because they haven't kept the load, right? And so there's this one woman I follow on Instagram. I forget her name. She's an older woman and she's a weightlifter, and it's incredible just to see her muscular development is still really, really good for an older person. And people who have done my new Dig Deeper workout, like I do a podcast. My new series is coming out in January. It's called T is for Transformation, where I took people that have transformed their life and body with my training and my motivation, and I interview them. And there's a gentleman that you'll see, 65 years old, took his body fat from like 18% down to like, I think like 12 or something.
Wow.
And so, so people think like, oh, I'm too old to do that. I'm like, you're too old to not do that.
Yeah,
you
got to work out.
You got to keep going. So it's just a little thing for people. So if you're young and you're listening to this, like, I'm not one of those trainers that's like, stop being lazy. I don't think you need to have a six-pack. I don't think you need to try to look like the best person on the beach or a fitness model, but go work out just so that you feel good. People have no idea. The best way to actually feel great is to work out.
Yeah.
You just like forget about like, I need to lose 20 pounds, I need to lose 30 pounds. Like just moving your body, the blood flow, the water, like all of that stuff is a natural, it's natural euphoria,
Yes. No, people talk about walking out of the gym with more energy.
Yeah.
Right? And you might be tired because you pushed your muscles or whatever, but like it is uplifting, right? I don't walk
The
out like, oh my God, I need a
endorphins
nap.
hit you, man. Like even myself. I mean, I've been training sports and fitness for 27 years, and I walk out of the gym today, and I'm like on cloud 862.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm sore. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm 46 years old. And I got to grab the banister a couple times after a leg day. But you know how good it feels to be like, you just feel good. You transform every single day you're in the gym, whether it's a Soul Cycle class, a Barry's boot camp, because I've done both of those, an insanity workout, a yoga class. Anytime where you have to contract your muscles for a length of time, you are going to feel better.
I think about it like, I don't go to the gym because I feel motivation. I go to the gym because it's on my schedule, right? I wrote down, I'm going to the gym at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock on Tuesday. And I go. It's not like, do I feel like going to the gym? Do I feel motivated? Do I feel energy? Do I feel tired? Like, that does not enter the equation. I said I'm going to go. So I go no matter how I feel. And I know once I get into it, I'm going to feel like, okay, I'm having this fight. I'm developing here, lifting a little bit more, learning more about, oh, you should squat like this more, whatever. And having that experience. But people who are like, I don't feel like going to the gym. I'm like, I don't understand that.
You know, again, I'm not like one of these tough trainers that just thinks not everyone's going to work out. Like, I know that. Like, I'm not trying to make people do that. But don't complain to me that you feel that way if you're not going to do anything about it.
Right.
So when people are like, oh my gosh, like, I want to lose weight. Oh, I'm feeling sluggish. And the first thing I say is, just go walk around the block afterward. Yeah, but the minute you say but, I'm out. I'm like, because you don't really want it. You want the aesthetics of it, but you don't want to do the work to get there. But you're gonna go get your tracks put in. You're gonna, you know what I'm saying?
But this is part of what you're saying is that what we see as human beings, when I look at you and the development you have, partly I write discipline. This person cared enough about themselves to make time to go to the gym a lot to where he looks great.
You want to know what got me here more than like the aesthetics? How confident and like sexy I feel. I feel good as hell, man. Like that's why I talk about in my book, nothing looks as good as confidence feels. Like, train for the confidence. Because everybody, if they're going on a vacation, or if they are the bride or groom in a wedding, or if they're in a dress at a wedding, they're going to spot train. Why do they spot train? Because they want to look good and they want to feel good on wedding day. So why don't you want to do that for your life in general? You're going to go to the doctor less. You're going to take less Advil. You're going to go to the farm. You ain't going to take, all this stuff like, oh, I'm just going to take some Tylenol, whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna be better at work. Like, people are gonna be like, what happened to you? Because you're gonna be bright, you're gonna be light, your skin will change. People using all these like skin products, like, oh my God, I gotta do this. I'm like, go sweat 4 to 5 days a week, eat whole foods. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you can't have a burger or, some McDonald's French fries on the weekend. There's a little shade throw to you. I'm totally messing with you.
Good.
You know what I'm saying? But like doing these things, like we go to the pharmacy to do these things to make ourselves look good. I don't have a face care routine. I sweat. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have to do all that. And I know a lot of people are like, well, I have to. I have a friend that just started. She was just like, you know what? I need to change. She's like, on this, it's not even a strict plan. It's just she's now cooking her own food, measuring her own food. And she's like, I just feel really good. And she looks like she's wearing makeup when she doesn't have makeup on.
Well, this is what it is, that they say muscles are makeup for men.
Yeah.
Right? And gives you confidence that you feel better.
Yes. And especially men, most men will feel it when they turn and when they get to that 40s. You know what I mean? First of all, for men specifically, you are crazy to turn 40 years old and to not want to make sure you're going to the gym and lifting weight. Because listen, your 40s is like, you're sexy as hell. Like, everybody's going to think you're attractive. Like, the 20-somethings and the 60s, you like right in the middle. So I'm like, why aren't you gonna do like this is it? You're in the prime.
You
It's
talk
not the
about dig
30s.
deeper. That's the new
Yeah.
dig deeper. Is this like I have some new research, right? There's some new study that that I understand. Okay, we need to rearrange it like this. We need to add this and subtract that, or is it like how can we, like let's change the package around and tell them like, okay, how do you come to like let's give them a new product?
Well, every product that I ever put out is what I'm doing. It is like authentic to where I'm at in the moment in my life, because otherwise I'm going to research something just to sell it to you. I'm 46 now. I was 45. I was whatever when 45 when I developed it. And dig deeper basically is if you went to a college class or university class and you wanted to have kinesiology 101, that is what's happening. Not only are you lifting weights, I'm literally teaching you how to use your muscles so that you get max benefit with lifting. There's no jumping. All you need is a bench and enough dumbbells to push through. It's done in basically three different modalities. It's that muscular endurance that I was telling you about for tennis players. That is basically priming your muscles to be ready to know my muscle connection and, just being able to, isolate the muscles in a good way. And then the second modality that we do is time under tension mixed with supersetting. So opposing muscle group. So it slows it down so that now you have to have control over your muscles. Now you have mind muscle connection. You're able to activate the muscle and you're keeping yourself balanced by doing chest and back. People
You talked about, before we started, you talked about lift the weight until it's at its hardest point and hold it for a second and then go down, but don't go all the way down.
Do a slow release, yeah.
And I think some people think, I got to lift it fast. And you're saying, no, let's lift it slowly and pause within there.
Yeah, so what happens is bodybuilders, people will see like really big bodybuilders and they think that they're curling like 75-pound dumbbells or whatever, something crazy. A lot of them only curl like 35s because they know how to use their muscle. Yeah, most time like you want a full extension. Like if you're doing rows, like people don't know if you're doing a bent over row, they just row like they're doing a lawnmower. Like they're trying to turn on a lawnmower.
Yeah.
I'm like, push your knuckles to the ground, contract your back, and then pull up. Get to the top, squeeze, and then release it again. You will find that using lighter weight, like if you're like, oh, I can row like 100 pounds dumbbell. I'm like, if I come into the gym with you, I'm going to give you 70 pounds and you're going to do it how I tell you to do it. And you're going to be like, holy crap, like this is harder than that 100 pounds. And so dig deeper is that I'm literally teaching you how. So you go muscular endurance, time under tension with supersets, and then you go to the build phase, which, a lot of guys like, because now it's like, all right, get those 80-pound dumbbells, chest press. But it's because I taught you how to use your muscles.
But you're really good at naming these things, right? When you say hip hop abs, I'm like, oh, I'm interested. When you say insanity, I'm like, oh, dig deeper. Like, oh, I'll follow you. What's up, right? The marketing, the way that you pitch it to the consumer is really valuable and really important.
Well, it is. What I try to do is tell you more about the experience you're going to get than anything. Like hip hop abs, like, wait, I'm going to do hip hop and work on my abs? Insanity. The first thing you're like, what is that? I want to know what that is.
You know somebody who likes to work out and he called his workout insanity? Oh, that's for me.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like, Barry's doesn't push me hard enough, right?
And then they
he
do it.
said insanity? Oh, let's go.
Yeah, it's for those like weekend warriors, the
people who are like, this is the hottest buffalo wing in America. And there's a certain consumer who's like, I want that. I will burn my mouth. And you're like, insanity, like, oh,
yeah,
sign me up.
And dig deeper, to be quite honest, so dig deeper has been my phrase for insanity. I have the tattoo on my body. And so everyone knew like what dig deeper is. And you hear it all the time. You hear it in the Survivor show, like dig deeper, right. You hear it all the time. I trademarked it. But the whole thing, what I'm trying to say is, yeah, I need to. You know what I'm saying? Like, even people who work out every day is like, well, yeah, I do need to dig deeper. You know.
You talked about the perfect morning for a productive day. What is the perfect morning?
Oh, gosh. Well, that changes monthly,
and include, because you got twin 6-year-old boys, so you know the morning can be chaotic when you have children in there. So for parents, what is the perfect morning for a productive day?
The perfect morning starts the night before.
Okay, yep, for sure.
Parents, if you're married, like having time with your spouse on the days that you set aside for that, or, you know, spontaneity is good. Having time with your spouse the night before is really important, but also getting your butt to bed. Like go to bed, go to sleep. Like Instagram will be there tomorrow. Watch one show and go to bed. Don't have the late night snacks or whatever.
How long do you want us to sleep?
I want you to sleep. So here's the best way to know how long you can sleep, because it's not up to me and it's not up to like what they say. Because I don't know a lot of people that can sleep 8 hours. I know some people who get really good at 6, right? Have a day where you're like, all right, I can go to bed. I'm not going to set an alarm. If you can get that day and go to sleep, and when you wake up and you feel refreshed, that's how long you need to sleep. For me, it's 7 hours. Like for me, like my body will go to sleep. I will literally wake up 7 hours on the dot. So I don't know how long you need to sleep.
I don't know either. There's such a weird... There's two sort of cultures in society, and this one's sort of dying out a little bit, but the notion of like, I barely sleep, right? Because I work hard, right? Like I don't need sleep, right? But then there's the folks who, you know, J.J. Watt, LeBron, you know, I think Tom Brady, who are like, no, I sleep 10 hours a day. And I'm like, I don't know. But like, you want to be a super performer? Sleep a ton. And
yeah.
Like,
but they have money to sleep 10 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? However, what I'm saying is like that day you get, because you can go to bed early. What I was going to say, I want to go back to what you said about like I'm a no sleeper. That is American culture.
Yeah, for sure.
It's American culture. I remember 16 years ago, I remember going to Tokyo. I released Hip Hop Abs in Tokyo. I did an infomercial. It was so fun. But I just remember going to the production company, this big office, and they're like, you know, we take naps. You know, you're done working, you take a nap in the middle of the day, and when you're done working, you're done. They don't do this whole like I'm getting in early. Like your boss ain't paying you more money. You know what I mean? Like go live your best life. Like you can do that. But I'll say what were we saying? Shoot, what was I saying? I go on.
Perfect morning.
Oh, perfect morning. Perfect morning starts the night before. But especially if you have kids, get up and be by yourself.
It's hard for parents in the morning.
If you go to bed early, if you go to bed at a decent hour, you get up and you have 45 minutes by yourself. It is the best 45. The reason why I have a great morning almost every single morning, if I'm not sick or not stressed about work or something, it's because I get up 45 minutes and guess what I do? Like I'm ready for my kids to get out of bed. I create an experience when I turn on music. I have their food. I asked them the night before what they want for breakfast. I can go into their room and give them all of my energy. Like if they're in a bad mood or not want to get up, I have the patience, right? So give yourself time.
What are you doing in that 45 minutes?
So sometimes I'll actually just go right in and get on my exercise bike, and I just sometimes I'll just go on social media because that's the time I have. I'll go on social media. But if you follow me on Instagram, like that's when I'm pretty much looking at the dance that I want to do that day. Like I'll get up, I'll dance, I'll have my coffee. Having coffee by myself is like, this is like hitting the lottery every single day. Because I know it sounds crazy, but like when the day gets started, it starts to roll. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, my lovely assistant that's sitting here, I usually have a text from him because he's in New York and I'm in Arizona.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm just being silly, but you know, you get up, you know, and so that's that part. And then you have time for your family, if you have a family, right? Like for me, I'm with my kids first, and then my husband comes out the room. I'm in a great mood. Like people are eating, my kids are reading their book. And it sounds like your house can't be this perfect. Well, 90% of the time, it is like that because Scott likes to be in the room by himself when he wakes up in the morning. He's like, I want to sleep as long as possible. And I know he wants to do that. And I'm like, I don't want to talk to anybody in the morning. Not because I'm not a morning person, because I really am, but I know to be a better person, I'm by myself. And then, hopefully, if you have time, like I drop the kids off, I go right to the gym. Now, mind you, I have a different life and a different schedule, but if you don't have kids, after you have your time to yourself that you're not checking emails for your job, go to the gym, go for a walk, get on your exercise bike, do stuff for you. Buy something off Amazon, like gift yourself something. Like these are the kind of things you should do. Because in my book, I talk about being positively selfish. Selfish, when people are like, oh my God, you're so selfish. I'm like, I absolutely am. Yeah. Because if I don't give myself 100%, I can't give 100% to my kids. I can't give 100% to my team. I can't give 100% to my spouse.
You gotta be aware of what your goals are. Be it finish your book, work out 6 times a week, whatever it is. And I have to protect that and make sure I do that before I can give you what you need, go to your party, go to lunch with you, whatever it may be, right? Like if I don't take care of my goals, then I'm like, well, what happened? You just let the day get away and you did what other people wanted you to do.
Yeah.
And you didn't satisfy your goals. So you get that positively selfish is really important.
It's so important. I mean, that's why I don't like never sleep culture. Because if you never sleep, like if I promise, I don't like to make promises. But that person is like, I'm not losing weight, I'm whatever. I'm like, you're not losing weight probably. Partly a lot of people don't lose weight because they don't sleep. Like if you find your range of sleep, and obviously you're eating healthy, like you wake up. That's why I don't know about you, but if you do an ab check in the morning or a body check in the morning, if you slept good, like you are as thin as you're going to be throughout the entire day. Like your body has reset, has digested all the food, the fuel is ready to be used and going,
I don't think I sleep enough, but here we go.
Yeah, let's change that. How many days a week, how many hours do you sleep a day? Average?
Probably like 6. Probably like 6.
All right, so I have a question for you. When you wake up, are you waking up like, yeah, or are you like, oh,
I'm kind of like, yeah, okay, let's get after it. Let's figure it out. Let's go. Let's do some stuff. I mean, I don't necessarily want to have a bunch of conversations right away, but like.
Right. So I think you're getting enough sleep. You probably need a nap.
Maybe. There are times of the day when I'm kind of like falling asleep a little bit.
9 minutes. I'm telling you right now.
A 9-minute nap?
9 minutes is epic. Did people say, don't do the 20? 9 minutes will change your entire life.
But it would take me time, I don't know how long, to come down to be able to
All right, we'll set a 20-minute timer on your phone. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, I do this. Like if I want to sleep for usually I sleep for I'll set my timer for 15 to 17 minutes. And it takes me that moment to be like, all right, I'm gonna get this out of my mind, like the things that I'm thinking about, and I fall asleep, and I usually wake up right before the alarm goes off. But you have to condition yourself to do it. It is glorious. The minute you start doing this, that is the minute you put it down, because your body's just telling you, like, I just need. You'll reset your phone. You'll charge your phone battery before you charge your own battery.
Yes, that's right.
Right?
Sure, yeah.
Like, I want people to look at their life like it's their phone battery.
But I feel like if I smack my face and get some caffeine and rejuvenate the mind, and then like, okay, now I'm awake again.
Yeah, you're pushing your body into a stressful zone is what you're doing. You will have so much mental clarity if you just take a 9-minute nap. I'm telling you. And you should have a boss that allows you to do that. Not you per se, but people out there, like, you should have a boss that's like, yeah, go take a nap.
Oh, we got to move to Tokyo to get that. Not in America.
Or work for Team Shaun T. Y'all can take naps whenever you want.
Just not during my interview. I want to be captivated.
Well, no, I'm fully prepared for this. I worked out. I slept well last night. I'm good.
I ask people who come on the show, what does being Black mean to you? And where does it show up in your work? And a lot of what you're doing doesn't have anything to do with race.
Yeah.
We're working out. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about that stuff. Like, I can work you out, Black, white, Asian, whatever.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's a part of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So how does it function for you within the context of your work?
You know, I am a bridge to Blackness.
Okay.
And, you know, as a Black man that's really, obviously really well known in the fitness space, and, you know, being connected, like I have a group on Facebook called Dig Deeper Nation. I'm pretty sure, like, you know, maybe 90% of them are white. I don't know. It's more of like, I love being that Black man that's like successful for people to look up to not necessarily like, you know, there are times where I got to be Black, but you know, but I don't feel like I need to be like, I'm Black, but I'm also, it's the same way I look at it as my sexuality, right? It's like, I don't have to scream that I'm gay, but I have a lot of people that are like, oh, because I follow you, like I understand gay people now. I understand, like they people who have had some prejudices with Black people. They're like, oh.
This is a safe space where I can interact with a Black person, right? I'm, as an average American consumer, a Black man is saying, I will work you out. I'm probably going to trust, right? That he can get it down, right? I feel comfortable, like, oh, he's gay, so cool. All right, I feel comfortable, right? And I don't have that many Black gay friends in the world, but I interact with Shaun, and oh, well, that worked out. I love him. So now, right, I'm a little more comfortable with other, right? Is that sort of the experience?
Yeah, and the thing that's really, really interesting, so there are a group, women who did hip hop ads, and then I came out with Insanity, which is like, you know, more of a hardcore program in 2008. But not until I got married in 2012 did a lot of those people know that I was gay. They were like, wait, he's gay? They didn't do hip hop ads.
Hold on.
They didn't do hip hop ads. Don't play.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, who would not know?
I don't know. They didn't have the gaydar that you have, apparently.
But they don't take no gaydar.
Let me tell you, no. But that's what I'm saying. But
you're very proudly, overtly. I mean, like
yeah, but I don't have. But that's the thing. Like if you're only doing Insanity, you're just like, I'm working out, and they're like, oh, he's gay, because like back then, like think about all the gay people they put on TV. They would only put like people who were like, you know, very gay, like the stereotypical gay. They don't put people who are just like, oh no, I'm just like, I'm chilling today. Like, I mean, we all, like, a lot of gays, we have our like, you know, hey girl, like what's good, you know, but
for sure,
when I'm working, I'm like, so then they're like, wait, he's gay? And then so what's really, really cool is like, they now are like, they can't say they don't like gay people.
No, for sure.
God. Because I'm just like, you just worked out with me for 4 years and now you want to act like it?
Just yesterday, I happened to be listening to Tig Notaro, who I love, and she was telling a story about how they're driving in the car with her boys and her wife, and somehow the word gay came up, and the younger child was like, what does that mean? And she's like, how do I explain this to you? And she explained it, and then somehow the child came around to, wait, you're gay? And she's like, you haven't figured this out? You're like 8, 9 years old. You still haven't figured this out? Like, yes, I have. So where are your kids like they know we have 2 dads, but like, are they like, our dads?
Yeah, they know what gay is. I mean, we have always talked to our kids like adults. And if they don't understand what we're saying, they keep on asking questions.
Right.
Like, they know, like my one kid, Silas, he's just so funny. He's like, oh yeah, there's the buff dad, and you know, he goes, Dad, Papa's a little more buff than you. And like, he'll walk around being like, you know, because they're like, and then his friends at school is like, oh, your dads are the buff dads. Like, you know, yeah, they know. But they also know what's really cool about our kids' life. They have gay dads. They know one of their nannies both of their nannies are white. One is has Latin in them, but they're white, and they're with Black men, so they know interracial couples. We have other friends that are lesbian couples, and then you know they have their grandparents, like Scott's parents, are just like a white older couple. Like they just know, and they traveled the world with us. So yeah, they know. They know. They'll teach you about it. You know, it's so. It's just really, really interesting the way we parent.
Yeah.
We parent them because we're like, so I'll tell you this, because we started with my story, and I think we can kind of go here with this. So one day my kids, we were going to bed, and they always either want a bedtime story. Now they're reading themselves, which is really annoying because they're like, can we read our own bedtime story? Or they want a story. They want me to tell them a story. So they're like, can you tell us a story about your childhood? So then I'm sitting there like, how do I do this? I'm like, I want to tell them this story. So then I'm like, once upon a time. And so I go down, I tell them the story. I don't go into graphic detail or whatever, but I go on the story. And then they're like, and then at some point in the story, they're like, oh, Papa, like you're talking about you. So like every now and again, when something comes up, they'll be like, what do you mean? Like your stepdad was mean to you? Or like, you know, were they brave like you were brave? You know what I'm saying? So we tell them in a way. So we just have a very open, really, and they read a lot. They can read, like they will pick up a book, and like one of my kids is like always trying to figure something out. You know, so we're a very open family. Like one of my kids, this is going to be so bad, but I literally don't care. Like one of my kids loves the F word. Like he's like, can I say it? Can I say it? And I'm like, you can say it around me.
Right.
But you can never say it to someone to be mean.
Right. Right.
So, but
right.
then Scott was like, well, if you want to say it, use it in a sentence. So he's like, where the fuck is my toilet? Where the fuck is my clothes? He's so hilarious to the point where now he's just like we'll be sitting, he's like, fuck. And then he's like, can I say it? I'm like, you already said it.
You already said it.
But the funny thing is, our other son is like, I will never say that word. He's like, absolutely not. And I'm like, I'll pay you to say it. No. He's like, I'll take you to Target. And so it's so funny. They're like complete opposites. One is like very, you know, he's gonna be the street smart when like, you know, that kind of kid, and the other one's like a brainiac, and he's like,
we grew up, and a lot of times things are very hard, right? And you hear stories about this one came out and they got kicked out, and they had problems at home. And I think a lot of folks in our generation were like, when we grow up, we'll be better, right? And I was like, you know, if my kids are like, I'm gay, like, cool, like, whatever it is, like, whatever you want to do, whoever you really are, like,
be who you are.
It's all good. We are ready to accept and embrace whatever. But even within that, you're like, you know, 6, 7, 8, 9. Are they straight? Are they gay? Like, I'm just watching to see what it is. Are you watching to be like, are they straight? Are they gay? Like what?
Like, I mean, you can't not. Right. You kind of like, and not in a way of like, so I'll tell you this story. This is going to, people might think I'm like a really bad parent, but you will understand, like, this is amazing as a parent who really loves their kids and don't care what they're going to be. So when our kids were really young, like 2 and 3 years old, they would just want a costume. We would be at the costume store all the time. And I'm not talking about on Halloween. I'm talking about, where do you guys want to go? We want to go get costumes. So Sander he would want to be Shuri, Wonder Woman, like all the female characters. Like he went on Amazon one time and built his own She-Hulk costume. He's like, now this is like he's 4. And Scott would literally take them, because it was where we used to live, it was around like, we had like a lot of like kind of hiking areas, if you will. Like it was kind of like that neighborhood. So Scott would take them on little walks and stuff like that. And people would be like, oh, you know, that's a nice outfit, they would say to Sander. You know, he just loved it. So then it got to the point where, you know, I'm like, what do you want to wear? And he started choosing like boy costumes. I'm like, damn. I wasn't like disappointed, but I'm like, man, you know, but I mean, obviously we don't care. Like, you know, we don't care.
No, you don't care. But I also you're watching as a parent. Who are you?
And I know this is like really crazy, but as parents will understand this and won't think this is weird. But Silas, like, I think he's like really into black women because he sees like a black woman. He's like, Oh, I have this friend, Cherish. She's a bodybuilder and she's coming this weekend. But we went to her show and he was like, "Oh, do you think Cherish would like let me have her phone number?" And then I was like, "Cherish is coming this weekend." He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna give her the biggest hug when she go." Like, you know, like it's just like really, it's cute because. You know, and then like Silas is also the one that will say, Sandra has a girlfriend at school, and Sandra will get so mad. He's like, I don't want to talk about that. So, but I don't know if they're going to be gay or straight. I really don't care, but I'm excited to. I'm excited
we don't care,
to.
but we want to see.
I'm like, I can't wait till the first person they bring home and be like, this is my, boyfriend or girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like, and then I pull Scott aside and we have like little sidebar. It's going to be fun.
Sounds like the perfect little family.
I mean, perfection is temporary, change is constant. And right now, like you asked me in the beginning of the show, I'm great.
You sure are.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, if you like what you saw today, be sure to check out more Touré Show content right here. Don't forget to click that subscribe button for more Touré Show content every week.